What's going on, guys? In today's video we're going to make a music poster using a couple of images that we're going to combine together and put on the background. So if this is something you guys want to learn, then please follow along. Okay, so today we're in Affinity Photo, but you can use Photoshop if you like. The technique is generally the same. So to get started, we're just going to choose our canvas size. Okay, so I'm going to choose a size A5 for this project because once I come to the end of designing this poster, I'm going to take it into Affinity Publisher and turn it into a music promo flyer. So you guys can join me doing that as well if you like. But if you don't want to do an A5, you are welcome to choose any size that you like. So once you've got your A5, just ensure you got your DPI at 300 in case you do want to print. That's going to give you the best quality. And we want this in portrait. And everything else you can just leave as it is. So once you're ready, just hit that create button. Okay, so here we are in the main interface and we've got our canvas set up. So the first thing we need to do at this point is find some images that we are going to use. For me, I'm going to find some stock images in this stock section right there. If you guys aren't seeing this stock section, just head up to your view menu at the top, down to your studio, and just make sure you've got stock checked right there. And for those of you who don't know, the stock section is for 3 different websites we've got in here, and it features thousands upon thousands of images that have been uploaded from people all around the world, and these images are free to use. All that they require is you give them written credit on any image that you use. So for instance, if you use this in a book, you just got to put their name inside it as the owner or creator of the image, and that is generally it. You can use these however you like. You can even sell them, but you need to obviously give credit to the original author. So let's get started by finding an image. Being a music poster, I'm going to look for a singer. So just type in singer. You guys can search for anything you want and find any kind of images you want to use. For me, I'm looking for something kind of like her, I think. So I'm going to drag that over and let go. So straight away, this is not a great quality photo at all. Usually they're really big and got really nice edges. This isn't perfect, but it's something we could probably make work, and we will give it a try. So the first thing we are going to do now we've got this image loaded in is we're going to cut her out of this background. This is pretty straightforward process. It's not difficult at all. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to come over to the left hand side and we're going to get our selection brush right there. And we are going to come over here now and just start drawing around the edges of her. And you see it kind of works like a magnet. You just start pulling it and it'll just kind of stick to the edges. Now some of this is going to come up a lot better than other parts of it, but you don't need to be perfect with this. You can be quite messy because we will refine it in a moment, and refining will basically get as close to the edges for us as possible. So for now, all you guys really need to do is just try and fill this image and keep inside of the main outline. So just keep going all the way around this until you fill it all up. You can make your brush bigger if you want. You can let go with this, make your brush bigger, and just carry on doing it. So you just get all these sections. Like I said, don't worry if it's messy. It really doesn't matter. We are going to refine it, as you'll see in a minute, and that's going to make all the difference. I'm just going to get that microphone. And we've got this big massive piece here, which we'll get rid of in just a moment. We'll try and get that hand in right there. And that fingernail. Actually, I kind of want that bit down there, but we'll fill that in again in a moment. So I'm just going to get her face. And that's looking pretty good. Once you guys have got this far, we just need to come over to the top left-hand corner of the menu and pay attention to that mode section. And at the moment, we are on this section here with the add, which means it adds more to the selection. But we want to come over to the subtract, meaning we could take some of this away. So we're going to come back over to our image. We're going to shrink our brush a bit, and we're going to get rid of some of these really big gaps. So just click inside of there and let it try and snap to the edges, and again in there.
You've got mail.
And I'm going to leave that there in a minute and see if we can refine that better in a moment and try and get closer to the finger there. In fact, I'm going to undo that one and leave that and try and refine it. I'm going to leave that for a moment. We'll try and address that later on. And I'm quite happy with that. So if you guys are happy with your selection, we are now going to come up to the top menu bar yet again. Find your mode section we was just on. Come all the way over to the right and you see this refine button. Hit that refine button. And what this generally does is we get to draw around the edges, and Affinity will determine what is the background and what is the foreground. So it's going to try and do the best job possible at getting these sharper edges and getting in all the loose hairs and stuff. So it's going to zoom in a little bit. Over here, you've got a menu to start changing certain things in here to maybe find a better way of doing this. I'm not going to go too much into this right now because we can probably make this work from just leaving it as it is. So, but if you guys want to see or find out more about what this actually does, there are plenty of videos on YouTube when it comes to refining selections and cutting out images. So feel free to go and check them out. If for any reason you don't find a video you like, then please let me know and I will make one for you. So at the moment, we're just going to pay attention to what we've got here. We'll leave the matte edges. We're going to leave the border width, the feather, the smooth and everything. We'll leave that matte on. Just leave everything as it is. And we're going to come over here now and we're going to start painting around the edges. So I'm going to use my left and right bracket keys to make my brush bigger or smaller. And once you're ready, just start painting right around the edge of the image. And you can let go at any point, but I'm just going to keep going down here for now. And I'm going to let go now. And then this is going to start working out. See here how we've got all these individual strands of hair now. That's how good Affinity does with this feature. And you just got to go all the way around here and just carry on going over it. And let go once you're ready. And it'll do the best it can to get all these loose hairs. This is something you definitely cannot achieve without this tool. You'll be here all day trying to get it as good as this. So you've got to give your hats off to Affinity for doing such an amazing job. So we're just going to carry on going around the image to make sure we are as close to those edges as possible. Like that. And we're going to try and take out this section here. So if we just draw over that bit, hopefully it'll cut out for us. There we go. And we're going to come around our microphone. I'm going to make my brush a bit smaller. Try and come around the edge of the microphone. Just to make that look even better. And see how that does. That did a pretty good job as well. We can make that smaller and just try and draw around our fingers. So you can see how much of a really good job this generally does with very little effort. So that's not going to be perfect because we haven't got a sharp image up here, but we're going to get it as close as possible. With the idea I've got, this is going to be blended anyway, so we're probably not going to notice the hand so much. I'm just going to try and get that a little bit out. Can be a bit tedious, but the more effort you guys put into this part, the better the image is going to come up. See if we can get close to that. And down here again, just around the edge of that fingernail and down there. Okay, this bit's going to be tricky because it's just, it feathers out, it's really blurry. So I think that may be the best we're going to get on this right here. We can try and go over it, but I don't know if it's going to make any difference. That generally is the best we're going to do, but don't worry about that. We're going to fade that into the background eventually. So just keep coming round and get as close to your edges as possible. Make your brush bigger if you need to. And just carry on all the way around the image until you are generally happy with what you got. I'm going to zoom back out with Command 0 to fit to screen. And I'm quite happy with that. That's something we can definitely make work. I don't think we cut this bit out here, so let's just quickly go over there. And let that do that for us. And this bit down here, I don't think it's going to do a great job of that, but I'm not too worried about it. We'll give it a try anyway. That is the best we're going to get. Okay, so once we've got this far and you guys are happy to continue now, all we need to do is come back over to this menu here and pay attention to your output. So we're going to change it from selection to new layer with mask. And once you're ready, hit apply. And now we've got it cut out. And if we come over to our layers, you can see there's our original image in case you ever need to go back to that. And we've got our cut out version here, which is now in the form of a mask. So we can put a different background on here. So at this point now, I want to bring another image inside of her, of maybe somebody playing a guitar. But before I do that, I want to resize her. But keeping in mind that this image is obviously pretty bad quality. So I'm hoping it doesn't look too bad if we make her bigger. So I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. And I'm just going to increase the size of her. just to fill up the shot of how I generally want it. So for me, something kind of like that is good enough. Maybe try and get her arms in the frame. Yeah, I think that's fine. So I'm going to zoom back in with Command 0 to fit to screen. Or if you just want to zoom in and out like that, it's just your plus and your minus keys with Command. Okay, so now we just need to find an image that we want to put inside of her. And we're going to go back over to the stock section. And I think if we could put like guitar, or let's see what we find on the musician. And that looks kind of perfect, to be fair, for what I'm going for, this guy right here. So just quickly note, guys, if you can't find the names of these images, if you want to write them down, if you're using them, you can hover over it and it'll give you a name. That one is just Pixabay, which is obviously incorrect. But you find that one's from Eric, and you've got all different people here. If you don't do it that way, then once you drag the image into the canvas, you'll get a little pop-up just up here, which will tell you the name of the artist as well. So just take note of that if you plan to use these images and post them anywhere. Okay, so once we've got this in, we're going to zoom out because this guy is far too big, but this is definitely a better quality photo. So I'm going to drag him down to the rough size that I want. And I'm going to drop the opacity on him a little bit so we can see what's going on behind. So come back over to the layers, focus on the opacity and bring him down so we can see her underneath, but you can still make him out at the moment. So about 30 is fine. And at this point, I just want to start to line him up. Let's make him a little bit bigger. So I kind of want his head in maybe this corner. And I want to make sure the guitar is kind of visible throughout her body. So that could be a good selection here. So I'm going to leave it like that for now and see how it goes. Going to bring that opacity back up. And here is where a good little trick will come into play. So if we come down here now and we come to the mask that we created once we did our selection, we can make a copy of this mask. So Command C and come up to this image up here and we're going to paste it here. So Command V to paste. And we're just going to drag this now inside of this image. Just bring it down. See that big blue bar, drag it across till it shrinks. And now we have got him nested inside of her. So we can move this around, put a background on it, and you're not going to notice anything outside of her body shape. So once we've done that, we just need to start erasing parts of the image that we don't want. So we're going to click on our mask and we're going to come up to our paintbrush tool over here on the left hand side. And with the paintbrush tool, we use two different colors here. We will use black to start hiding part of the image to reveal what's underneath it. And we will use white to bring the image back if we make a mistake. So to quickly demonstrate, so I'm going to start painting over this now so we can generally see her. And if you painted away too much of this, simply just switch it back to white and we can start just painting them back in just as we did. We're just going to undo that and go back to where we started. And what we need to do now is just start erasing parts of the image that we don't want. So we're going to come up to our opacity. I'm going to bring that down to around 60. I'm going to leave the hardness at 0 because we want this to be a soft brush. The flow we can adjust maybe to around 50. And just start erasing the image away. Come over to your layers. Make sure you are clicked on the mask and we are on the color black to start erasing. And then just come in here and just keep going over that until you start erasing bits of it that you don't want. So it might be easier if we bring our opacity up to take away more of the image. So if we bring it up to about 90 around the big parts we want to get rid of. Then we just bring our hair back in down here and just keep clicking over it. And when you get to this point, we're just going to use a softer opacity now. And we'll bring this down to about 40. I'm just going to start bringing in the edges closer with fading it. And just kind of keep going over that and just blend it into her body. And I'm going to try and take away quite a bit of this white because it's a bit too much on the image for my liking. They're going to make that softer around his hairline. And I'm going to start to bring her hair back in down here. And just fade that into the image itself underneath it. Once again, it's a very tedious part, but it depends on how good of the effect you want. So just keep going over that. Change your opacity up or down if you want to take off more or make it more of a blend. So I think I'm quite happy with the way that's looking at the moment. So what we need to do here as well is we need to bring her hair back at the back. So we're just going to come down here and just start painting her hair in. And just keep going over that. Maybe going to bring that opacity back up so we don't have to keep going over it so many times. I'm going to put that on 80 for the moment. And it's going to come back over there and just pull that hair back in. And as her hair's coming in, he should be starting to disappear. And what we want to do is generally find a body shape that was there previously. So if we just get close to her edge and her body starts to shape down here, just going to keep going over there, bring back that hair and just fade him into her body itself. And we'll go for a softer brush now as we get closer to the edges, so bring the opacity down. And just keep going over this till you're happy. Bring down them highlights a little bit at the top. Drop that brush down a little bit. And maybe just focus in a little bit more on her hair. Okay, so I'm quite happy with that. I think it looks pretty good, but I think we've got to drop the opacity just a little bit on him as well, just to blend him in a little bit better. So we're going to find the image of the guy and bring the opacity down just a little bit, just to fade him in nicer. Just so it's a little bit more subtle in the photo. I think 65 is okay. We can leave it at that. Okay, so once you're happy with what you've got here, what we want to do now is convert her to black and white so she matches with him. So to do that, we're going to come down to the adjustment section at the bottom here. And we are going to choose black and white. And we can just leave it as is at the moment. So once we've got that, all we need to do at this point is find a background that we want to use. So we're going to come back over to the stock section yet again. And this time I'm going to look for maybe a stage, some kind of stage lighting. So we'll just put lighting and see what we can find in here. Okay, so I updated my Affinity Photo yesterday to the latest version, and this seems to be one of the bugs that I'm having at the moment. It's not loading in all the images. If you are getting this problem where you're only seeing a few of them, just simply drag down with the mouse using your scroll wheel, and it should load them in like that. I'm not sure why it's doing that. It never used to do that, so hopefully they'll fix that in the next update. Okay, so I'm going to find a background that we can use straight away. I'm drawn to that one because that looks perfect. So I'm just going to drag that over and drop that one in. And once again, guys, there's the name of the artist if you need to take note of that. I'm going to zoom out so I can resize this background image. I'm going to grab that arrow tool and just drag that down. And if we just come over to the layers and just put that behind everything so we can see where we need to place it. And the reason this has gone black and white, if you're wondering, is because we got this adjustment at the top of the layers there. For now, I actually want to leave this black and white, so that is fine. If you guys don't want to leave that black and white, then you just generally got to drag the adjustment onto the layer that you only want to affect. So for instance, if you want to be just her, just drag it inside. And now she's black and white, but the background isn't. So I hope that explains that one for you. Just got to Command Z to bring that back out again. So once we are happy with our background, you just got to bring it in and line up. So straight away, I think this background would be brilliant because you can see this halo around her face from the original shot where it looks like it was lit from that angle. So that can really work in our favor with this light here. So I think if we position this light where we know it's going to cover it, we're going to make this bigger. And if we get it at the right angle, that would definitely show why we've got that halo to make it look more authentic. So you could put this anywhere you like. Maybe that's a good spot. You can make it bigger if you want. But I don't want to take up too much of your time, so I'm going to leave it at that at the moment. So this is 90% done now. All we got to really do is just add a couple of effects on it to finish this up. So if you guys are happy with this, we'll continue to the next step. So all I want you to do now is we're going to come above this black and white layer. We're going to create a new pixel layer down here. And I want you to change the blend mode on this from normal down to overlay. And once you've done that, I want you to come over to the left hand side, grab your paintbrush tool. We're going to put the opacity up to around 60 perhaps. You can change that if you like. And the hardness we'll leave because I want this soft yet again. And just want a big brush. And what I want you to do now is just start painting in colours randomly all over this. So it's going to bring in colour to our image as well as the background. So we're just going to go with a purple to start with. Maybe something like that. And just start splotting these on in random places, anywhere you want to put it. And if that's too dark for you, just bring your opacity up a little bit more. So we could actually have that around 80. That's definitely better. So it's trial and error, guys. And then now we'll go for a different colour. And just maybe bring that yellow in. Actually, we'll go for more of a skin tone kind of colour around the face because it'll bring that colour back in. And we'll just start putting these random colours all over the image. And just start mixing this up. And you can add as many colours as you want. You can just keep going till you're happy with it. You can change your brush sizes. You can make the hardness a bit more if you want. You can bring your opacity up. You can even start to give it a bit of a pattern. If we just bring that down a little bit in size, we could just start coming up like that. And we can grab a different colour. And we can just start coming down in the same direction, but opposite, like that. Grab another colour. And from the side, if you want, like that. And from the other side as well. So it all depends on what you want to do. I'm just going to go back to where we originally was because I think I kind of like it just like that. And I'm going to Command 0 just to bring that back up to where we want it. Okay, so now we zoom back out, we can notice straight away, if we look at the hand, it just looks absolutely terrible because it is a low quality photo and those straight lines are just non-existent. So all we can really do at this point is either go for a better image, which I'm not willing to do because we can make this work, is we're just going to zoom in and we're going to try and draw these lines in ourselves. So we're going to come over to her mask, which is that one there. We're going to come and get our paintbrush tool again on the left hand side. This time we are going to change, sorry, I got the wrong one, I've got selection brush tool there, the paintbrush tool right there. This time we're going to change the hardness to be 100%. I'm going to leave the opacity at 80 and I'll leave the flow where it is. But I'm going to make that a little bit bigger and I'm going to zoom out just a little bit and I'm just going to try and draw this roughly to be as straight as possible and to look more legitimate than what it did. Just kind of follow them curves around. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to look a lot better than it did. So it's something like that. So if we zoom out now, straight away it's looking a lot better than it was. It's not great, but you can't tell if you're not looking for it. So we can get away with that. And I'm just going to zoom in on this bit over here, just to try and erase this glow that we've got there. I don't know if you guys noticed it, but it kind of stood out for me. So I'm going to bring that hardness down to around 39, it'll be fine, just to be quick. And just start erasing that, just so it's not so in your face. And just make that brush a bit smaller. Okay, so there are plenty of other little bits that we need to go over, like here in between the fingers. And I'm not going to do that because I really don't want to take up any more of your time, but that is pretty much the finishing process of this. So if you guys want to get that done, then that is generally all there is to it. So I don't know about you guys, but I think that generally looks pretty good considering it was a low quality image. If we had a better quality one, these edges would have been so much better. We could have eliminated all of this around here, but we worked with what we had and I think it looks pretty good. So don't feel discouraged if it doesn't come out so well. At the end of the day, this is a learning process, and the idea of this video is to teach you how you would put something like this together. It just takes practice and time. That is generally all it is. It's not a talent, guys. This is a skill that you can learn. This is not something that is impossible. So please just give it a go and see what you come up with. So at this point, I am now going to make a separate video where I'm going to take this image into Affinity Publisher, and we're going to turn this into a music flyer, like a promo flyer that you'd hand out in the street to people to get them to come to the concert. So if you guys want to follow along with that one as well, then check out that video. If you don't have Affinity Publisher, it really doesn't matter. We're only really adding text, so you can stay inside of Affinity Photo if you want to. So if you enjoyed the video, then please give me a thumbs up. Please comment and give me any suggestions for videos that you may want to see. And please subscribe, guys, as it helps me out a lot. So for now, have a great day, and I will see you in the next video.